Hi everybody. Good job making it through our first full week together. It sure did go by quickly, as I'm sure the remainder of the weeks will as well. After reading through the problem sets, as well as the learning journals, it seems as though most people have a pretty solid understanding of the supply and demand model, which is great. It is a quite simple model, but one of the more influential and powerful models used throughout the entire field of economics. People do seem to be still struggling a bit with the concepts of consumer surplus and producer surplus, more specifically finding them and calculating them in a supply and demand model. So I think we'll take a few moments at the start of class today to walk through an example of that together. I've enjoyed reading the discussion board posts this week. There's been some really great conversations taking place there. I do want to make sure that everyone knows to please post your initial post by no later than Wednesday at midnight. Being late in your initial post can make it difficult for your other group members to find 2 additional posts to respond to, which is another requirement in the discussion board assignments. But again, really great conversations taking place about the minimum wage. I think probably the most important thing to take from this is that the topic of the effects of raising the minimum wage is unsettled and controversial, and this is actually true with respect to many different topics in economics. Despite how our Blackboard presentation of a model may have a very clear and simple explanation or conclusion, in reality things are typically much messier, especially when politics are involved. Perhaps one of the points I enjoyed reading the most in the discussion board conversations was that there's more than just the outcome of employment or unemployment that we should be considering when we're interested in the effects of raising the minimum wage. For example, does changes in the minimum wage correlate to access to affordable health care or ability to appropriately care for one's children? In my own field of research, there's some interesting work that finds a higher minimum wage is correlated with lower rates of child neglect. So again, I really enjoyed reading that point especially, and I encourage you to always be asking, well, what other outcomes, what other variables might be impacted aside from the ones that we're focusing on in class? So keep it up there. What else? Quizzes. There was a question about quizzes. We mentioned this in one of the classes, but quizzes will typically be released early on Thursday mornings. Given you have as many attempts as possible to take the quiz, I really just feel it's far too easy if you have the entire week to take it. And I also want students to read the materials, watch the lectures, and digest the material before making their way to that quiz. Which is another point I want to make. Please try your best to do the readings and view the lecture materials as early in the week as possible. Reread, review if necessary. This will only help you when it comes to the assignments that are due later in the week. This week we are going to be studying elasticity, which is all about measuring how responsive one economic variable is to changes in another. We'll be most focused on how responsive buyers and sellers are to changes in price, but elasticities are far more general than that. Please keep on your radar that the first exam will be due at the end of this week. And as always, reach out with any questions or concerns that you may have. Take care.